This is Kitzur Yomi as we continue learning the halachas of machalais asurais simin mem vav in the Kitzur. We pick it up from Sif Tes Yud Zayin, Says the Kitzur. If someone sends or puts an item next to either a guy or a yid who is chashiv inside a sack, the stitches have to be on the inside, ulekashrai, ulechasmai, to tie it and to seal it, and this will accomplish that which we've spoken about, the chaysam b'sei chaysam, the double seal. Continues the Kitzur Sif Yurches. You send some food with a guy b'lei chaysam. You have to ask a shayla, and it says that you have to ask because it could be other factors would mitigate. We'll just point out that there has to be a hana b'chalip, and there has to be a reason that the guy would switch it. It's just not stam. We don't just stam suspect that a guy would switch your food. He has to have a benefit in taking your food, etc. We continue. We sif yotes. Kivina isushar dvarim shem b'dei akum, cheese and other items. Then their hands of the guy, afal pi shehim b'chaysam, even though they're inside a seal like b'tfushim kishirim, or printed at their kosher, kol yadana micha saman. If you don't know who printed such a seal, asurin, you have to be machmir. And note 40 points out, because who sealed it? Who put on the seal? Very good, it has a seal, but who put it on? You have to know where it came from. And of course, if there was a way, and it says in note 40, if there's a copyright that the guy just can't put on his own symbol, then there would be no concern. Continues the Kitzur Yesh shall not to cook a litzos or roast. Yisrael v'akim sheikadera zu eitzel zu, two pots, one next to each other. Zebasar kasher, zebasar treifa, one kasher, one treifa. Machavois migulais. If they are uncovered, why do you have to be careful if they're uncovered? Explains note 41, because it might splatter one to the next. It points out, fascinatingly enough, let's say you know it didn't splatter. We would think, hey, you have your pork soup, you have your chicken soup right next door to each other. Lamais, if you know it didn't splatter, it's going to be kosher. Be careful, not to leave a pot next to a shivcha. And there's no one coming in or going out. And in the bottom over here, note 42, a quote from Moshe Feinstein. They have to be careful, even nowadays. Maybe the cleaning lady went and put something in the food, etc. A very serious concern. There's someone that you don't know that he's muchsik b'kashros. Aser liknois yimenu. Yeah, and you can't buy wine from him. From this or anything else, you have to be wary. So if you eat by him, unless you, as long as he's not known to be chashid. There's a regular cheskes kashrus, but we see from here in the Kitzur that a higher level is necessary when he's selling something, because when he's selling something, you got to be worried he's going to quickly turn a buck. But if you're eating in his house, then it's a lower level. Then there's regular idach and bisurin. To avoid leaving in a guy's house, clear that the guy might use. I feel no saluman attack, even to give it to him to fix it. If there's a concern that he might use it, you have to ask a shayla. And now we turn to Sifcha of Gimel, getting into halachas of treifa, of course, not as common as we don't really kasher our foods, but either way, says the Kitzur. People buy a chicken that's tied up and throw it to the ground to stun it. Then they shecht it. Why? When the animal or chicken falls to the floor, unless you know the animal is able to walk down the again, the concern is that the animal is a treifa. The concern is that the animal is going to drop dead on its own, and that would make the animal not kosher. In the summer, it's come with geese, small blisters, in their intestines, and it can cause it to become a treifa. Al kain, therefore, again, We just buy things with a hechsher. Says the Kitzur Sifchafe, in Lashanita Becholav, you're not allowed to make bread with milk. Carte blanche, milchig bread. Why? What's the problem? Shem yechla basar basar, you might eat it with meat. Vim lash, and if you needed it with milk, kolabas also even to eat it by itself. Meaning, the concern is you might eat it with meat, but the bread itself is not kosher. Shem yechla basar. Vim ayadavar muat. So now says the kids. So what are the cases that are allowed? So if you make a little bit of bread, you in one sitting, or you change the way the bread looks, that it's recognizable, you don't eat it with meat, then mutter. Similarly, says the Kitzur, if someone needs, excuse me, if you needed bread with shuman shalbasar, with meat gravy, the same issue applies. You should not bake any bread in the oven together with dairy or meat. Might ooze out of it and make the bread in the milky shafleisach. If it happens, as if it was kneaded with it, also achlai afilu levadri. So very important halacha. You can't stop make milchig bread, stop make fleshig bread unless there's either number one a hecker and or number two it is create. You made it in a small quantities. Siv Chavav said the kids bread that's baked together with meat in the oven at the same time. The oven is closed and the meat was uncovered. Then the bread takes on the status of fleshik, so you're not allowed to eat it with milk. If the meat was covered, or the oven was open, it's not fully sealed, and it's a large oven like ours, mutter, then it's going to be mutter. Similarly, if there's going to be a vent or something like that, this has to do with the fact whether there is zayah in an oven or not. You should be careful. So this is possible to bypass, not to meat together with bread. Be careful that maybe the gravy is going to flow from underneath the bread. You should be careful. You should not be cooking them in the same time. Again, we'll just point out that Lamaisa, what is the status of our ovens is definitely a point of discussion. We continue with Simcha Zari and Tanner Shazav Karka Shalai Shumana Chalaf. An oven that gravy or milk flowed onto the floor of the oven. Tzarech Hesek Kidin. You have to heat it up. Kidin, you got to kash the oven until you do liba until everything comes white hot. Siv Chav Chas, going back to Treifa for a moment on the Golas Mesurasim, the Hagen La'achlan. Chickens that have been castrated, even though it might become a treifa, it's normal to eat them. Misham Desemchum Rilai. Timistama Akam Amisaris who Uman Ubaki Wadavi knows what he's doing. That's not going to actually ruin the chicken. Names of he's a razor, but if you found such a flaw, even if it's just not lying properly, a razor asur, you have to be careful that maybe the chicken was a treifa. So we finish with Sivchav Tes. Says the kids are in some places, Nagan Akam Maftin Hamat Min Avazis Labachli Israel. They would fatten geese to sell to Yidden Shadagin and Dachas Kanvei B'Machalachadayim. They will make a hole underneath their wing with a needle. Kidei Sheyit Tapeach Abasiv Yitra Shamnunis. So the flesh will become swollen and will appear fat. V'each Sheilas Chacham and make sure Slayef Deska Shaila. Was an internal organ punctured? Is it a treifa? Eats too much, it's in danger of a refuah. So what's the remedy? That they put a spear all next to opposite its stomach. And this is actually one of the large shaylos with Chav Yisrael milk, that this process, or not Chav Yisrael milk, I should say, this process is done that they stab the stomach of the animal, and it's not so simple. If the animal becomes a treifa, pick it up from Sif Lamed B'siyata Dishmaya.